Oh, we got somebody coming in. All right. So I think if there's only going to be one, let's let that person know what we're about to do, and they can still ask questions even though we're doing it. Is that fair? Is that probably best to do versus doing a whole thing for one person? What you think, Ashley? Before I bring them in, what you
I mean, you could just bring them in and we could just let them know that,
think?
if they have any questions, I mean, because I have some questions written down, so we could still take the same approach.
And just
I
just
don't
let them know
think
it's recorded. Just let them know it's recorded.
yeah.
It's
Well, they're
recorded.
going to get the notification too, so.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. All right, I just submitted them. Hopefully, I didn't lose them. I took a second. All right, it says we got 4. All right, cool. So I'll just edit this part
Mhm.
for the actual recording. I'll let them get in here before we start though. All right, Emily, looks like you're in here good with us. Just to give you a heads up, obviously you agreed to the recording, so we're actually recording tonight. If you've been with us before, we don't often record, just based on the type of conversation, but tonight is going to be so informational. We don't anticipate that we'll be having a therapist or anything like that, so we don't anticipate in getting too personal. So just a heads up for why we're recording tonight. Emily, I will also tell you as we're going through this information session, if you will, feel free to come off the mic and ask a question, because as after I introduce both of our guests, and you'll hear both of their expertise, if you will, but just know that you are free to participate in this recording as well. Because we've decided to basically record it and have it for others who are not able to make it tonight. But thank you for coming with us, Emily.
You're welcome.
All right, so we'll officially start this thing now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Making Money Matters. I am your moderator, Montoya Smith, and I would like to introduce the founder of Making Money Matter Mondays, if you will, Ashely Thomas. She is a finance coach, as well as our senior care specialist, Chinyere Norman. As you see, she goes by Shay. But to get this thing started, we do these every second Monday of the month, live opportunity where money and mental health meets. But I'll go ahead and let Ashley give her background and let people know why she started this before we get into the actual discussion, understanding Medicare. Thank you, Ashley, for being with us this evening.
Yes, thank you. So hello everyone. My name is Ashley. I am owner, founder, CEO. I'm everybody over at Making Money Matter. And I started this so that we could be having necessary conversations around money and mental health. A lot of times people tend to think that the money is the problem, but that's just simple addition, subtraction. What we're dealing with is the traumas and triggers behind the decisions that we're making with our money. And so tonight we are having a necessary conversation around Medicare and things that our aging population, people that have parents that are getting ready to go through this, something that we need to know so that we are prepared and equipped for the next stage in our lives. So I'll turn it over to Shay to introduce herself.
Thank you so much for having me. We've been on before together in different conversations, so I always enjoy working with you. And
Yes.
also, of course, I appreciate you, Montoya. Yeah, it's a very, very important conversation that we're broaching with a lot of pieces. But just to give a little bit of my background, and then I'll let you take back over and kind of tell me where you want me to go with it.
Okay.
So my background, I've been in the insurance industry for almost 20 years, and I've always been in and around seniors and work with seniors around Medicare. And so the majority of those years, I was a broker myself, sitting knee to knee at the house, at the office, with either people who were retired or pre-retirees. And so when I really started to go into the nuts and bolts of helping them with their Medicare insurance, it led me to financial planning. So I've done some financial planning. And right now, I wear the hat of really managing and supporting insurance agents. Not necessarily that many clients on my own, but with all of these years of experience, either working with seniors or, like I said, pre retirees, I've come to the point in my life where I feel like my biggest contribution to my generation, or to Generation X, aka Sandwich Generation, is to really help spearhead conversation about what it means to support your parents when they age. And I think it's double duty, because if I can support people supporting their parents as they age, then that gives us the foresight, as to what we're going to go through, what your
Yeah.
children may go through as far as supporting you. So that sandwiched person has the opportunity to teach, their children, how to support them where our parents didn't necessarily know how. So that's where I, am right now, within my career.
Okay. Well, thank you for breaking that down. I know that you are excellent at describing things and giving information. So I think I just want to kick things off, like right off, just talking about what Medicare is, and maybe start going into the different parts of Medicare. I know that there's a bunch of different parts of the alphabet that are a part of that, but just starting with what Medicare is.
Sure, sure. So, and I would invite anyone that has questions to ask. I don't know you guys' format, if it's come off mute or if it's just
Yep.
chat. That'll let me know whether or not I'm on the right track with the audience as far as what I'm explaining. So, starting with Medicare. Most people, if they hear the word Medicare, they'll visualize a red, white, and blue card. If they know anything about aging, anything about Medicare or health insurance for older people, right? Medicare is not necessarily just for older people, though. It is generally for people who reach age 65, and let's say they're not taking the health insurance from their current job or their spouse's job, and they're ready for the government's kind of health care plan at 65. However, there are those people who have certain disabilities and qualify for Medicare at younger ages. I remember one of my first clients that I realized, Medicare is not just for seniors. She was 19 and had no physical disabilities, but she had been on Medicare since she was 18, I think. So it is health insurance for either the aged 65 up, or those who have certain disabilities and will qualify that way.
Okay.
Go
Oh, go
ahead.
ahead.
I know you talked about the parts. You want me to go on into the parts?
Um, So when you talk about like Medicare and it being for 65 and up, so I feel like the like first question that came up for me, because when we're talking about Medicare, can someone be working and receive Medicare at the same time? If they can, like who's the primary insurance? How do they find that out?
Good question. Primary. So someone can have Medicare while they're working. What could happen is, health insurance can be really expensive on the job already. But then once you reach an age where the employer is like, okay, now I know they got this Medicare thing out there. I can probably either not offer them health insurance, or the health insurance can get really expensive. And being fair to the employer, as we age, cost for medical is higher, and so their costs go up as well, while they're still hiring younger people, right, to come on board. So the cost just may be upside down, and it may make more sense to have Medicare. Medicare in general doesn't have a premium over about $175 a month,
Mm,
versus someone who's on their job and may be paying $300 or more per month, right? Now, so that is a way someone reached 65, they say, you know what, I'm going to leave that insurance from my job alone. I'm ready to hop on to Medicare and go ahead and take advantage of this lower cost. So that is a scenario where someone can be working and have
yeah.
Medicare. Also, Medicare is your own. So there is no primary and secondary. Your own Medicare number and ID is your own, whether you are married or not. It doesn't matter. Everyone's Medicare is their own. So there is no primary or secondary. Now, there was a time where more wives, didn't work, stayed at home, and so they earned their husband's benefits, but there still was no primary and secondary. They just actually got Medicare on his working behalf, and they still had their own separate policies. So Medicare doesn't cover any children or any dependents.
Okay. So to clarify, can you have both? Can you have Medicare and be working, or is it one or the other?
It's one or the other. Now,
Okay.
just like all small employers, or just like a lot of businesses, things fall through the cracks, right? There may
Okay.
be two insurance policies there because they didn't stop that person's policy at work. That probably happens far and few in between, because that employer, if they're contributing, they're going to make sure that they cut that off. But then the other thing, if someone has both, then there could be a fight between the insurance companies,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they say, hey, we said we were going to cover both the same thing. And so there could be a fight over who's going to pay the bills. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time. So I do remember years and years ago where I saw these like one-off situations. But in general, no, general is one or the other.
Okay.
Can I ask a clarity question?
Yes.
If it's okay, because I'm misunderstanding. I just want for clarity.
Uh-huh.
Ashley, I thought you just asked, can they work and have Medicare? I thought that's what you just asked. Maybe did I misunderstand your question?
So I asked if they could have Medicare and regular.
She breaking up for me. For y'all, she broke up for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe maybe I misunderstood.
So she did.
Okay, she may be back. Yeah, I misunderstood it. That's what I just wanted to declare, because maybe I misunderstood the question. We can't hear you, Ashley. I don't know if it's. It doesn't say you're muted either. I don't know what's going on. You may have to jump back in and jump out and jump back in, because I don't see that you're muted. Can you still hear me, Shay? Or is it?
I can.
I think it's just you, Ashley. Unfortunately.
Okay.
Oh, you're live. We can hear you now.
Oh, okay. All right. So I was saying, can a person receive Medicare and their employer-sponsored plan for health insurance?
Okay.
That was my question.
Okay, got it. All right, I'm good. Okay, now I understand. I thought you asked something different. That's why I was confused. Go ahead.
Okay. So I guess maybe we can go into, are there different qualifications for the different parts of Medicare, or is it just the age 65 and some health conditions that will get someone eligible for Medicare?
So there are 4 specific parts of Medicare.
Okay.
Because we work and we pay into the system, they call it 40 quarters or 10 years, right? If you work that long, then Part A comes to you automatically. Part A represents 80% of hospital care, right?
Okay.
Just 80%. It doesn't cover 100%. And that so because we work and we pay into the system, that comes kind of premium free, Part A for the hospital. And then Part B is what cost, and I think this year is $174, but like I said, around $180 a month. Part B covers 80% of medical. So going to the doctor, outpatient surgery, right? Even some cancer drugs or drugs that have to be administered into hospital. So that's 80% coverage right there. You're paying for Part B. Part A you get from working and paying 10 years. With those 2 alone, because it's only 80% and there's no cap on what that 20% can be. I always used to give the example, what if you had $100,000 surgery? That means that if you have Part A and Part B, that means $20,000 is yours to pay. And oh my God, what if you have another surgery, right? So there's no cap on that Part A and B. It's only 80%. And that's what we call original Medicare. Both of those 2 things together, they're called original Medicare. So on top of that, now more than 50% of people on Medicare have what's called Part C, or you hear Medicare Advantage. That is a huge, 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 huge market, billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Medicare basically contracts with private health insurance companies to say, hey, you can administer this care better than we can. We're the government, you're an insurance company. So Medicare actually pays, let's say United Healthcare, for example, pays them to offer healthcare over and beyond that 80%. And so oftentimes people can get that coverage at zero copay because, again, the government is quote unquote paying for it. Oh, I thought Ashley was frozen again. I was gonna say dog, but so those are the three parts. One thing I didn't talk about, which is important to all of us, which is prescription drug coverage.
Yes.
Prescription drug coverage is Part D,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oftentimes they can get that Part D included in that United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plan, oftentimes, but sometimes they don't. So those are the four parts of Medicare, all four parts.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
so
oh, go ahead.
I do have a question. So you talked about the 80% for Part A and Part B. Is there a cost for Part C or the Advantage? And is it like 20% or is there a set amount, or like Part B is roughly $180 a month. Part A, I think you said was free.
Yep,
Part
you pay
C,
for it. Mhm.
is there a cost for Part C?
It is, and if I pronounce your name incorrectly, I'm sorry. Is it Vanetta?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Vanetta, you give me permission to go a little bit further because you asked that question. So the 20%. So she said in two questions. Number one, does Part C cost? And number two, does it cover the 20%? Those questions make sense. So most Medicare Advantages are quote unquote zero premium. It's not free because that Medicare Advantage or Medicare Part C, as we call it, the government is actually paying the insurance companies to offer the plan. So oftentimes it's zero monthly premium. You're already paying the Part B, the $180. And so then you get that Part C plan at zero premium most times. All companies offer some plans that have a small premium, but most of them are really manageable. The 20% part is covered by a secondary choice, which is called a Medicare supplement. And let me tell you why, or the difference between a Medicare Advantage or Part C and a Medicare supplement. Very distinct difference. So that Medicare Advantage, remember I said the government pays insurance companies for it. So it is regulated by Medicare. It is regulated by the government. Every year, the companies that have those policies or plans, they have to come back and bid for it. They have to make sure Medicare likes it. They have to go through hoops to make sure they can offer this plan. So for the beneficiary, it can change every year. That plan can change every year because they have to go back to the government every year. With a Medicare supplement is not regulated by the federal government. It supplements Part A and B, which means it completely fills in, it can completely fill in that 20% gap, but then there's a monthly premium on top of it, on top of your Part B. So let's just use easy math. Let's say that supplement costs the same thing, $180. So you'll pay Part B $180 a month because Part A and B together gives you 80%. And then you say, you know what? I don't want any out of pocket at all because the Medicare Advantage can leave some out of pocket, like co-pays, not a premium, not a monthly premium, but out of pocket in copay costs. A Medicare Advantage will leave that behind. A supplement will cover the whole 20% period, as long as someone is willing to pay that monthly premium up front. I'm going to stop right here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're saying that Part B could be 180 a month, and let's just say the supplement is 180 a month. So you're looking at 360, and then you have to pay Part D for the prescription, or is the prescription included in the Medicare supplement?
Nope. A prescription drug coverage is not included in a Medicare supplement. That's another reason why many people will go with the Medicare Advantage or Part C, because they can get those prescriptions included in that plan. And they don't have to pay a monthly premium. They just pay co-pays as they go. So if someone says, you know what, Shay, I don't want any out of pocket, I just want peace of mind, then I'm going to say, okay, let's go with a Medicare supplement. As long as they can afford it and qualify for it, it is underwritten. Medicare supplement is underwritten, where
When
Medicare
you say qualify, is that based on health or?
yes, yes. Yeah. A supplement you have to qualify for, similar to life insurance. You have to qualify for it. There's some underwriting. Because again, this one is not regulated by Medicare. It's not attached to the government. It is a private insurance company offering care for your premium every month. So they'll cover the whole 20%. And then no prescriptions are covered. You have to get that standalone Part D plan if you go the supplement route.
And what does the standalone Part D? Is that typically as costly as the Part C in the supplement, or is it a much lower
I think the
amount?
national average, I would say the national average right now is probably around 45, maybe $50. Heck, I'm in Georgia. Last year, WellCare had a 50 cent a month plan. It really varies. There are a lot of different drug plans. There are a lot of different Medicare Advantage plans. And that's why it does pay to have a good agent to walk somebody through it, because it's a lot.
Can I ask a
To
quick
answer your question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So when you say good agent, let's describe that in particular to this, because
Yeah.
again, the average person, somebody could be very good at what they do and say, hey, this is a good agent, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're good at walking people through this. So what's a good agent for somebody who's worried about what we're talking about tonight?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And let me make a distinction. So you all will hear, especially if you're outside of the insurance realm, these two terms, agent, you probably hear agent more than you hear the term broker, right? In my world, the way I think about it, an agent is someone who may work for one company. So if they're a salesperson working for one company, they're probably going to try and really push that company's product. They're going to try and make it fit. Versus a broker that offers multiple carriers plans, they can really sit down and, first of all, they got to get in your business. They got to figure out, like, who's your doctor, what medications you're taking, what kind of supplemental things are you interested in, gym membership, are you in need of dental, even down to Mr. and Mrs. Jones, do you know of any potential surgeries that you're going to have in the next 3 to 6 months, questions like that. So a good broker, I'm gonna switch it from agent, a good broker is gonna really, really capture a lot of information, because again, like I've been doing this almost 20 years. I can't do this in one conversation. Number one, I got to get down everything about you that I need, right? Then I have to go do what I call my homework. There is on average 43 Medicare Advantage plans for any beneficiary just across the country, 43 plans for them to sift through. So I have to come back and then say, hey, this is what I found, and give them a few choices, maybe 2, maybe 3. But I still throw out, hey, this is what I found. This is what I think is going to be a best fit for you. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what your questions are. And from there, that's when we figure out what plan is a good fit based on what they pick. So in my opinion, a good agent has to do a very thorough needs analysis, figure you out, and then deliver to you more than one solution. Nobody
So
can know what you need. Yes.
sorry, when you say beneficiary, you're talking about the insured, meaning the
Yes.
individual. Okay.
The Medicare beneficiary. Thank you. Yeah, the person on Medicare with the red, white, and blue card. Yes.
So I would offer, just based on what you just said, Shay, that maybe a good question for anybody in this space is to go, are you a broker? That probably would shock the agent, but it's a good starting space for any of us that has a parent. Now we know to ask, are you a broker? Because again, that individual agent who wants your business is going to tell you, oh, I can cover you all kind of ways, and you trust them because they're going to give you, to your point, different packages within their company. So one of the best questions we could probably take from what you just said is to at least start with, are you a broker? What would be the next stage? Because again, a broker may have access. What's the next thing I'm looking for versus a just having somebody who's just become a broker and is not as knowledgeable as you are with 20 years of experience. What's the next question?
The next thing I would say is, this is something that I wish people did more of, but I don't know. We just don't. Is ask questions. And that's not on the broker, that's on the part of the individual. We have to kind of, everything is not a quick decision. Everything is not supposed to be a quick decision. And I know, be it the broker or be it the person sitting in front of the broker, oftentimes people they will clam up, right? And have real questions that they need to ask, or they don't know if it's a good question or a bad question. Listen, no question is a bad question when it comes to insuring your life or health. No question a bad question. So I'm just get off the broker for a second and just say to whomever is son or daughter, the actual person that's needing the insurance, ask every question that you can think of. And then how that person responds, are you comfortable with the way that they responded, right?
Mhm.
Did they seem like a know-it-all, or did they really give you genuine information? Did they tell you, hey, I don't know and I'll come back? Did they actually do it, right? Because that's the other thing. No one wants someone that is great today and then I never hear from them again. So
Right.
back to the broker, someone who you can reach, someone who is not just there for the moment and, you can never reach them again. You can always ask, like, what is your license number? I tell people that all the time. Elders are so trusting, they will give up all of their information. And I say, listen, at least ask people their license number. Because that can alert the broker or agent, like, hey, okay, this person is really thinking, whatever I did with X person, I can't do with this person, because you never know. But you can look
Yeah.
them up. You can look them up and see, what their license looks like. Is it clean? Do they have issues and complaints? I think Vanetta has her hand raised.
Where do we look
Yes.
that up at too? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Um,
State insurance department. Yes.
well, uh, I mean, it's good for that, but I find, I know when I look at some of the seniors who I have talked to before, they don't know what to ask and don't know if it's true. And once they get the information, what do I do with it? The average senior don't know how to go to Department of Insurance Services to look this up. And because you hear of, oh, you come to the, at one point it was, you come here, you get a free meal and you get a $10 card, and you go and they go to all these meetings and talking to different agents, brokers, whatever. When they come out of there, they don't know any more or less. I've seen seniors who go with one plan, but then because it sounds good this year, then they talk with somebody else and they switch them to another plan next year. I mean, it's just, we know that we need to ask,
Mm-hmm.
but people don't ask because they don't know what to ask. And then when they do get the information, how do I decipher it? How do I understand it? I mean, I know some intelligent people who are Medicare and they're still like, look, this stuff is confusing. So how do a senior understand it when it's 20, 30 different plans? How do I know what's best? Like you said, one question you ask, are you a broker? Is there something that you can say other than what's your license number? I can give you my license number, but if you don't know, what does that mean? That means absolutely
Well,
not to me.
yeah.
So I'm just,
And I mean, I definitely can't. I understand what you're saying. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time, but it's these kind of forums that hopefully somebody here will walk away with, yeah, like, let me handle this for my parent, or if it's me, let me ask about, are you a broker? What is your license number? And go look it up at the state of Georgia if you're in Georgia or whatever state. However, let me pull back and just be very, very, those are the real life answers, how I will answer that. But honestly, a broker is supposed to be your guide. A broker is supposed to be your advisor. A senior should not be expected to know all of this. They just need to know that they can trust somebody. They need somebody who they can trust. And I would encourage, if there are sons and daughters on this call and you're not involved in your parents' insurance and decision making, if they will allow it, I would suggest you do so, because the longer we live, y'all, it's just the more stuff we don't want to deal with. It don't matter if it's like, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. Just as life goes on, from trauma, just the length of being here can send a person like, you know what, I'm throwing my hands up. I'm just gonna stay on original Medicare and be done with it. Right. And that's why I have to say things like, but if you had $100,000 surgery, would you want to be out of pocket? I have to make it really, really real to people. Does that work for everybody? No, not necessarily. But we do the best that we can, those of us who are out here advising.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe she was kicked off
I just
or
let met
coming
her
back.
back in. Yeah, I've been letting people
Yeah,
in and out so
I
people.
think I don't know what's going on with the internet today. It's not working with us.
Okay, and I thought she was on, but she is spot on. I cannot tell you how many times, and I think when I got to this point in my career, I was really like patting myself on the back because I feel like I got somewhere. When somebody would just say, "You know what, Miss Norman, what would you do if I was your mother?" And I'm like, okay, all right, now we're at a certain point where the stakes are higher for me as an agent because this person is dependent on me like they were my mother or grandmother. But also, it meant that what I was trying to do, which is convey trust and convey that I could be a guide, it worked. But it can be scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
If I could just reiterate what we're talking about, that reality, great question, like or point by Vanetta, right? The idea of, how does someone know? And I'm just highlighting that framework that just reiterate this, that the framework Shay gave is at least a starting point, not to necessarily get stuck with a rookie per se, or to her point, someone who only is going to provide you one product. So just even though there's no guarantee per se, that framework is, in my opinion, just throwing it out there, is amazing starting space, considering before tonight, you don't know to ask, are you a broker? You don't, and Shay made the point, when you ask someone for, for instance, for their license, it gets them a little more on point because so very few people ask. So you just get, basically, I just feel like Shay's given the basics of how to at least get to a decent starting point. Then, of course, I'm going to highlight the beauty of being a part of this community, because we're just going to send you to Shay, who's got 20 years of experience, and we already trust her. That's the ultimate way, is finding someone who's committed to doing it and having an opportunity to get a referral. That's the best thing, to get a referral from somebody. This person took care of me, and like we do with anything else, go to her because she's going to actually take care of you.
Yeah, and it sounded like Vanetta may have been in and around some insurance. Because I mean, the way she described it, it is very highly commoditized. To the point that I'm just be real with y'all. It pisses me off. I don't appreciate that a senior has 43 plans to go through, but at the same time, that's the lay of our land. It's capitalism at its finest. You would like to think that healthcare is warm and fuzzy. It's not. It's not
Yeah.
that. And this is insurance. This is really, 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 really big business. So it is highly commoditized, and the seniors feel it. Some of them push back, and they go to those dinners, and they go everywhere, and they're not making any changes. They say, you know what? You want to treat me like a number? I'm gonna go get a meal here. I'm gonna go get a meal there. You can present your plans to me, and I'm gonna walk out because I already have an agent. I'm just going back home now. So it's an interesting situation.
Well, Vanessa, you have your hand raised. Come off mute. I think she's raised her hand, but I don't know if she. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, she was just talking. So what would another question be, asking them after you ask them, are you a broker? what are the different plans that you offer, or how many plans that you offer? Because then that will kind of let them know, okay, they want a little bit more information. Or if you're an agent, are you only offering maybe 1 to 2 plans versus a broker who may have access to 20 different plans, just like, regular insurance? So is that a viable question, or would that give them more information?
To ask how many plans you represent?
Yes.
I mean, that's a good question. I think that's a good question, but the average person, I don't think has a number in their mind for how many plans you should carry, or what makes sense there. I think I would love for people to ask more about the benefits that they need or that they're interested in. Because at the end of the day, that's what's really important. It's like, do you have what I need? You might have 180 plans, right? Based on the number of carriers you're with, you may have lots and lots of plans, but at the end of the day, I need dental, I need vision, I don't have a car, I need transportation. Some of these plans even offer, well, you all have seen it, I'm sure. These plans offer groceries. Some of them offer pet care, utility payment. Like I said, it's highly commoditized. So I think that could be a good indication for someone who's been in and around insurance, but for the average person, I don't know that question would really help.
So I have a question because I didn't even know that some of those were benefits that were offered in these plans. So, is there a resource or anything that tells in general what some features are of these plans so someone could reference? Because I get what you're saying, where, you have to know enough about yourself to be able to make sure that you're getting what you need from these plans. So, if you are having procedures, if there is a medication, if there is a doctor that you want to go to, you want to be armed with that information so that they're filtering out the plans to give you what is actually going to allow you to maintain or have the treatment or the providers that you want. But just like utilities, pet care, groceries, like how can someone find out, or where can we send people to find out all of the various benefits that are offered by these plans so that they even know to ask for them?
The best resource that exists is Medicare.gov, which is a Center for Medicare and Medicaid site. So every carrier that has a plan that they want offered out there has their plan on that site. That plan will show you the star ratings for that plan, how Medicare sees them, customer service, product type. It'll show their stars. It'll show a lot of details, but then it'll also punch out to that insurance carrier's actual site so someone can see even more details. So Medicare.gov will give you a first-hand, one-stop shop, great summary of all the plans available in your zip code.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can we go and kind of pivot and go into like applying, when to apply, the importance of applying on time so that we're not running into penalties for our premiums? Um, and just things to know and be prepared for with the Medicare process, like on average, if things are really great, how long the process takes so that people are aware of the timing,
Mhm.
so that these things are being implemented in the most beneficial way for them.
Sure. So when it comes to what I talked about, original Medicare, most people are going to get that automatically. The Part A and the Part B, just based on when they're turning 65 or when they've had the disability. If they had the disability for 2 years, most people are going to get it automatically. But the Medicare Part C or Medicare Advantage, from October 15th through December 7th of every year until they change it again, that is the annual enrollment period. So again, October 15th through December 7th, that's the time that anyone who has Medicare, the red, white, and blue or original Medicare, can add a plan, they can drop a plan, they can go back to original Medicare and say, hey, I just want this in a drug plan. That is the time for them to make as many changes as they want. But whatever they have at December 7th, midnight, that is the plan that's going to start for them January 1. Right? So that's what we call it AEP for short, but annual enrollment period. Because there are so many plans and so many changes, though, from January 1st to March 31st, we call that open enrollment period. You can make one more change. If you got into a Medicare Advantage plan and you don't like it, maybe you didn't realize there was a better plan out there for you. You can make one change during that time, right? So those are two really, really important times of the year: annual enrollment period and then open enrollment period. Okay. But because of health conditions, sometimes we have special needs. Someone who has something, actually, let's say diabetes, chronic heart failure, cardiovascular disorder, they can maybe change at different times during the year, just depending on what their need is. I'll leave it there because it can get into a little rabbit hole, because there are multiple reasons why somebody can enroll one-off, but just in general, annual enrollment period at the end of the year, open enrollment period from January 1 to March 31st.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the times.
So can you
chat?
Oh, yeah, it was about the periods you were
Oh,
discussing.
okay.
So can you go into, because I know, like, from what I've seen, just from small presentations on Medicare, there are lifelong penalties if you are not applying for Part B on time. So my understanding is you have 3 months before your 65th birthday, the month of your 65th birthday, and 3 months after to go ahead and apply. So maybe if you can go into that a little more.
Yeah. And so that's called your initial enrollment period. That's like your own enrollment period. Like Ashley said, 7-month window around your birth month. That is your initial enrollment period. If you do not tell the government, hey, I do want Part B, I want you to start taking this money out of my check every month. If you do not do that, if you lose the opportunity to enroll during that initial time, you can pay a 10% penalty for Part B, and it never ends. It's going to stay
What is
there
that
as long
again?
as you are on Medicare. I'm sorry, I missed that.
I'm sorry, I was saying, what is that period again? That initial enrollment period at 65?
Sure. It's the 7-month window around your birth month. So let's say for me, my birthday is August 21st, right? So 3 months prior, 3 months after, plus the month of August gives you a 7-month window, and that's called your initial enrollment period. It doesn't start on your birthday. It starts at the beginning of one of those months that you choose. So I was talking about the Part B penalty. You can pay a 10% penalty for the rest of your life or the rest of the time that you're on Medicare. Most people are going to stay on Medicare until they transition. So that is like a lifelong penalty, if you will. Also, there is a penalty for Part D as in dog, the prescription part. Even if someone says, no, I don't take any medications, I'm never going to take any medications, it does not matter. If they decide 20 years later that they do want to get prescription drug coverage, the government is going to calculate every single month that they went without prescription drug coverage. They're going to calculate it by a median amount and charge that person a penalty for the rest of their lives for not having Part D if they wait and they don't get it when they're initially eligible for it.
So you must enroll in Part D.
Yes, you must enroll in Part D. I
So
can't
you must
force
enroll in
someone,
Part
but
B and D.
yep.
That leads me to another question, if I can ask. Go ahead, Ashley. I'm sorry, I'll wait for you.
No, go ahead.
Based on what you just talked about, I was going to ask you, what things are you seeing that people are, as many people as you're helping, what type of things are you seeing some seniors miss on because of misinformation? It sounds like, you know, not enrolling in B and D could be one of those things. Is there anything else people you kind of have to be like, oh, I wish somebody had told you this, or I hate that you didn't know this type of situation? What type of things are you seeing like that?
So one specific part of our senior demographic comes to mind. Well, I shouldn't say senior, but people on Medicare is our veterans. And I'll try and find you a more general one, but that's the one I see that really like grinds my gears, because for whatever reason they're told by the Veterans Administration or whomever handles benefits for veterans that they don't need Part B. And so when they come into situations, now I don't know, I don't keep up with how the VA works in other states, but I know for sure that sometimes people can go months and months without an important specialist visit at the VA. And if they had Part B, then they could go to a doctor outside of the VA and get what they need maybe in a day or two. And oftentimes those folks can be in a situation where they're lower income, so they can get assistance paying for their Part B, but somebody told them and they're really proud about their veterans benefits, and so they don't have it, they go without. So that's a sore part of my experience. Another thing I would say is both the Part D and Part B penalty. If no one blatantly told them, or they didn't just blindly go ahead and get it, there are individuals who I've met who are really, really mad. Like, I didn't know this. Nobody told me. I don't take prescription drugs. Why would I get something that I don't even need? So the government could do a much better job, I think, also notifying people of this. There are some things Medicare went through kind of a somewhat of an overhaul this year where we got a lot of changes, and so some of those things they're trying to address, like just being more informative. But yeah, those are the things that people do miss out on that penalty. When they don't know, they are really, really pissed about it.
So on that Part D, is it possible? Because I mean, I wrote it down roughly about $45. If they don't take prescription drugs, is it possible that they can get something as basic? You know, sometimes you can get, like car insurance, you can get basic insurance, because for me, I don't have an up-to-date car, so I have basic insurance 10 20 10. But if I get a new car, I know I need to get full coverage. Can you get something like that with Part D, whereas I can get the basic minimum even though I'm not taking prescription drugs, so I'm not paying that full price of, let's say, $45 $50, and then if I need it during open enrollment, I can up it to what I need.
That's exactly right. And like I said, in the state of Georgia, WellCare offered a 50 cent a month premium. I don't know what that plan looks like, but you know, if you just gotta have something and you'll have a problem affording a $30, $40 plan, there's a 50 cent plan, you know, so it does range.
So
So-
And
that
they can
plan,
change every year. Yes.
but that plan will protect that person. So down the road, if they need prescription drugs at some point, they can up it to a more expensive prescription drug plan without having to worry about having a penalty because they didn't have anything prior to now because they were not taking any drugs, any
100%.
prescription drugs.
Yes.
Okay.
100%. Yes.
So I know, like with Social Security, you can establish an account now and, see all of your benefits. I know that's difficult when you're not applying until that initial enrollment period, but is someone able to establish an account before their age 65? I don't know how identity theft or any of those things apply, with Social Security. Like someone could have your social and then you're going back and forth trying to get that. So can someone under the age of 65 go ahead and get their account established with Medicare.gov? Do they have to wait until they're applying for benefits to actually go ahead and get their account established?
That's a great question. I have only ever opened a Social Security account for myself. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I don't think so, but now you're gonna make me go and look. I'm not 100% sure because
Okay.
they probably wouldn't. I mean, you might have paid your 40 quarters in, but yeah, I don't think so. I'm gonna go look. Thank you,
Okay.
Ashley.
Yeah, of course. Um, yeah, so what is there any documentation or things like outside of knowing their medical history and like doctors, facilities, prescriptions, is there any other documentation or paperwork that you feel will set someone up for success when they are signing up for a Medicare? Like they absolutely have to have these things together.
So they absolutely need to know the agent, or if they're doing the plan themselves, prescriptions. Each plan has a different formulary, so that you need to know your prescriptions for sure. Know the primary doctor and specialists that are important for you to see, because you have to check the network. When it comes to Medicare Advantage plans, there are networks associated, so you have to check it for that. And then, like I said, the things outside of, I would say, the copays, just looking at the copays, are the copays, affordable for you? Because they vary. So the medical part would be the doctors, the prescriptions, and then next would be the copays. After the copays would be those extra things I talked about. Do you need transportation? Is there food insecurity? Should you be looking for a plan that may offer you some groceries if they're available? Yeah, but we talked about the things that are most important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask him? So with you being in the insurance space, obviously you've been specifically focused on Medicare for this discussion. However, what are some smart ways people could take advantage of insurance and possibly not be as reliant on Medicare? Is that even a fair question? You know what I mean? Like what, I know it's probably a lot of stuff, but I'm just kind of throwing it out there just to bring that thought process into this discussion. Like, what type of insurance so I can still have Medicare? That type of question, if that question makes sense.
Well,
I don't know if it does.
um, types of account. I mean, if someone has an HSA account at a current employer and they're pre-retiree, or they're our age and they're listening to this and they understand, um, and for many reasons, I would fill up a health savings account as much as possible. And so later in life, you have funds that you can use, and hopefully it's in a interest bearing. If it's in an interest bearing account, that's even better, because you can make money, on your savings that you can use toward your health needs. So I would say an HSA is good. Medicare does not cover long-term care. So if you are able to get long-term care through a life insurance policy, that will be advantageous. It is very expensive. So if you can afford it as a younger person, I would say definitely get long-term care. There are some cancer treatments that are not covered. So there are cancer policies that a person can get. And then lastly, hospital indemnity. Sometimes the hospital copays can be a little high on a Medicare Advantage. Keep in mind, you're not paying a monthly premium. So sometimes certain copays can be a little high. And so a hospital indemnity plan, which will pay for your copays or cover your copays, can be affordable as well. So those are some things that are complementary, to being on Medicare or making that Medicare journey even easier. But outside of that, it's really knowing those enrollment periods and making sure every year that you're checking up, is this plan the best plan for me still? Do I have some medical conditions that have arisen? Maybe there's something better, for me out there. So just staying abreast of changes.
Is there anything around income? I know, like, for my brief understanding, like Medicaid is based off of your income level. So is there anything around income that restricts Medicare or anything with the parts?
So there are certain plans, we call them special needs plans, that are specifically for people that are dual eligible, or Medicare, Medicaid. Now
Okay.
Medicaid is administered on the state level. So I didn't really want to get much into that, but
Okay.
there's no restriction there. Luckily, there are certain plans that are designed for people who have Medicaid. In state of Georgia, we call it Medicaid. In other states, they may call it something different. So there's a special place for somebody who has both, and there are plans that are really, really rich benefits, because if they're lower income, that means they need more assistance in a lot of ways. So those are special plans for people on Medicare and Medicaid.
I'll ask one more question around the supplement. Um, and I would assume with your experience, have you seen where people are not exposed to the concept of long-term care, expensive as it can be, but in other words, they were doing well, but didn't have the information. And had they known, they would have opted, because they were doing well, right? They would have opted for long-term care and been in a better situation than only having Medicare. So I'm just kind of, you see what I'm saying, what I'm walking through,
Absolutely.
not just being even exposed to, you're in a position to do it and just don't know. So what does that look like for somebody who can't afford it? When should they be aware of it? When should they be looking into it? Does that make sense? Just to even get that.
Yeah, between 40 and 45.
Okay.
I would say, because ideally under 40, most people are not even going to think about it, but at least around that age, if you're doing okay financially, this is something that you could comfortably afford. You can maybe comfortably afford. I have seen people who were well to do, didn't understand long term care exists, got into those elder years, and actually had to spend down all of their assets in order to get the care that they need in, let's say, assisted living or long term care facility. So I literally have had clients that happened to.
Yeah, we definitely went into that conversation some last month going into long-term care, and Kelly Moore was the agent that came on, and he just talked about, consideration for the chronic care rider just as a way to circumvent long-term care if you're not in a position where you can get that now because it's too costly, or it's just not something that you can afford at this time. You're outside of that 40 to 45 window. He mentioned like 50 to 55. So that was another consideration that he provided us to consider, just getting that rider that could offer some additional benefits.
Nice.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Got to piece it together. I mean, there's so many policies for many different needs, and going back to that good broker is going to ask those probing questions, and they're going to find gaps in coverage. And you might look at it like, oh, this is another policy, but you got to think about it like, oh, if they're able to explain it and it makes sense and it's a good fit, it's another care gap, it's another cost gap to fill up. Yeah.
We're just gonna send everybody to you, Shay. So we do it over here. We ain't gotta worry about all that.
Yeah, I think this has been a really good discussion. We are at the top of the hour, so
I do have one
um,
question, real quick. Shay, do you have to be licensed in more than one state? And since there are a few of us that are on here from Florida, are you able to assist those in Florida if we needed information?
I personally do not have a Florida license. Y'all are really, really expensive in Florida. However,
Tell us
um,
about it.
I have a national network of insurance agents that I work with, and so I will put my phone number in the chat if that's okay, and you can definitely reach out to me. And these are not just people that I find on the internet; like, these are my real colleagues. I'll
okay.
be more than happy to refer you. But thank you.
Thank you for that, Shay. So we are at the top of the hour. I am going to go ahead and drop the survey in there. So if you all wouldn't mind just completing the survey, and then we will go ahead and move into the affirmation for the month of May. and then we'll see if there are any other questions and go ahead and close things out. But thank you so much, Shay. This has been a really great conversation. It has been eye-opening for me, just because again, as we talked about before the call officially started, like these are conversations that we're not having that are so needed and very necessary. And if we are not taking the time to educate ourselves and showing up in forums like that to ask our questions, we're really just at a disadvantage. And I know this is not something that is just about the African American community. I know like seniors as a whole struggle with Medicare. It was just on NPR, just talking about how complicated the process is for people to get enrolled in Medicare and being in the right plans, and how discouraged some seniors get with the process. So I really appreciate you taking the time to delve into these and answer the questions and really dig deep so that we have points of reference and things that we can refer back to as we are researching and trying to find the best solutions.
Thank you so much, Ashley. And I hope we can do this again. You all, like I said, it is a lot of information, but you gave me some good questions, and how to formulate and even, take it further next time.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that we would welcome you back for sure, just so that we can maybe go deeper into Medicare, because now you've laid the foundation with us, and hopefully we can have a therapist on for the next call so we can dig a little deeper and just move beyond the fears and the things that might be holding us back around the conversation with Medicare.
And
Sounds
speaking of therapists, if I could play my little role, I haven't been here in a while, of making sure everybody fills out the actual survey. Um, in order to get these therapists, we do need y'all support in filling out the survey. So it's 5 of you. Some of you filled out surveys before, but if you don't mind, fill them out again, because it adds to our numbers. It helps us gain sponsors so that we can take care of, getting the therapists to be on with us. So if you will, let's get those at least 5 surveys filled out. And also there's an opportunity on the survey if you don't have insurance. So this is what our sponsor does. So I like to be very clear with y'all. In the event that you don't have insurance, I will follow up with you to see if you're okay with our sponsor following up with you to ensure that you are insured, because we do encourage everyone that comes to Making Money Matter to have insurance. So if you will, answer the survey honestly, and as soon as we get those 5, we'll get our affirmation and get everybody out of here. But we do ask that everybody stay on and fill out the survey.
Yeah, and our sponsor is going to be on in July talking about insurance. So we'll be going deeper into the conversation. I know we've been specializing on just caring for financially aging parents and just considerations to make there. And we definitely have not forgotten about all of the suggestions for topics for the year. So we will get to that. But I'm just excited to be having these conversations because they are so necessary. And it is an opportunity in a safe space to ask questions and know that you're getting the answers.
We got any survey responses, Ashley?
Yeah, we got 3.
All right, we got 2 more we need. Like, again, we just ask for y'all support. Again, be able to provide this free once a month. That's all that we ask, is that y'all fill out the survey for us. That's a small ask in order for us to keep this being free for everyone that we bring on. So again, that's just a small ask. So if you have any questions or don't know what the survey is, speak up now so we can get the survey filled out. But we want to show and improve our numbers for these Making Money Matter Monday. So if you're being too cool for school, I'm begging that you fill out the survey.
Okay, we are at 5.
All right, perfect. All right, affirmation time. I'll say thank you,
Okay.
Shay, as well, just real quick, but go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to Shay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you
yes.
for having me.
Yes. So our affirmation this month, if you have not been on before, we have our affirmation. I want you to write it down, put it somewhere. We are going to speak this over ourselves until we meet again next month. Again, the goal is to say it every day, read it every day, put it on your mirror, put it on a sticky note, whatever you have to do. So our affirmation for the month of May: I can't do everything today, but I can take one small step. I can't do everything today, but I can take one small step. I specifically chose this affirmation because even when you think about the process of trying to get things together, preparing your finances, it can feel like there's a million steps that you have to take. And you might not be able to do everything in one day. But if you are continuing to make those small steps every single day, you are still moving towards your goal. So, our affirmation for May: I can't do everything today, but I can take one small step. All right. So, do we have any other questions for Shay before we go ahead and close things out this evening?
Invite more people.
Yes.
Let's grow this community so we can get sponsors easy. We
Great
want to keep this.
session. I invited a ton of people that I know that were at this age, but as Shay had mentioned before, we don't get the information, and I think I don't know. I'm just floored by it, but I just think more people have gotten lazy rather than taking the time to get what they need. Then when they need it, it's like, oh, I didn't know, I don't know, where do I go? And yeah,
Yeah,
so
we talked about
Yes.
that before, just that ignorance is bliss. If I can act like I don't know or I don't get educated on it, then I'm not responsible for what happens. And that's not the case. This is a system that people have to be enrolled in. And if not, you're going to be paying more money for something that you have to have.
Yeah. Keep inviting everybody that's inviting. Thank y'all for inviting. Keep inviting. Because we've been how long we've been going now, Ashley? So our sponsors have been wonderful for us. But we definitely need to get more. So the more people we have, the easier
Yeah.
sponsors.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I want to thank y'all so much for coming on tonight. Shay, again, I appreciate you so much for having this conversation. I'm really glad that we were able to record this one because this is information that people need to hear. And then next month, June 10th, 8 p.m., we are going to have our next session. So thank y'all so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate you. Happy Mother's Day to any of the mothers out there. I know we we just passed that, but I hope you all had a fantastic Mother's Day. So
happy
thank you.
birthday.
Thank you. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming on. Y'all have a wonderful evening.
You too,
Good
Ashley.
night.
Thank you, Montoya.
Welcome. Absolutely. Great session.
Absolutely.
All right. Then we can just end this one because we already recorded the whole thing. So, all
All
right.
right.
I'm gonna go ahead and hit the end button. So holler at
All
y'all.
right. Have a good
Hopefully,
one.
hopefully I see you Friday. If you're
Yes.
in town, if you're
For
in
the
town.
live event.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. I'll be there.
All right, sounds good.
All right.